And away we go. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Hail Mary Sports Bar, right here on BearcatJournal.com. You know where they're at, in Cheviot, on the main drag, right on Harrison Avenue. They're in the Dora District. You can walk from bar to bar with your drinks. They've got 27 TVs, a 9-screen video wall. There's not a bad seat in the house if you're coming to view the big game. They subscribe to every sports package that DirecTV offers. They can stream all the games, and Cincinnati sports will always be on the video wall. Their walk-in cooler is new. Their draft lines are new. And not only do they pour the coldest beer around, but they do it in a 32.8 degree beer frosted glass. Go see them. Hail Mary Sports Bar in Cheviot. All right, Aaron, let's get this show on the road. And this didn't happen on purpose. It's just that my brain is so singularly focused. Like I'm in camp mode. And on top of that, Kelsey's got volleyball every day. So like I go to camp, I talk about camp, I write about camp, and then I drive back and forth to volleyball. And I just forgot tonight on the BCJ podcast, which you were elated because it meant that our topic for, you can attest to this. I was like, I don't know what we're going to talk about tonight. We're like, the Hall of Fame. And I was like, oh, shit. Yeah. I guess we probably should have talked about that on our main show. But this is our nightly show, and that gives us a chance to talk about something that we didn't talk about on the BCJ pod, which on Wednesday nights is almost a miracle to have something that Dave and I didn't touch on to talk about here.
I agree.
So let's do it. And it is a monster Hall of Fame class for the University of Cincinnati this year.
It should be. They got a lot of catching up to do.
Well, they do the Hall of Fame is pretty up to date. And
Hall of Fame's more up to date than some things in, the rafters and the rings.
Ring of Honor. Yeah, like if there's one thing that they've kept up on, it's the Hall of Fame. But let's get to the list. And I think they did something really, really smart here, Aaron. They said, okay, it's an Olympic year. We got some Olympians. You know what we're going to do with those Olympians? We're going to put them in the Hall of Fame.
All of them.
Pretty much. Omar Cummings, who was played in the MLS, played for FC Cincinnati, had a long and storied career. Annette Ichikunwoke. I think that is how the proper pronunciation of Annette's name. I don't want to screw it up because she has a silver medal, and I'm pretty sure she could kick my ass fairly easily.
I pronounced it last night. I think it was, I don't remember if it was Ichikunwoke or Echikunwoke. Either way, George corrected me on it. You can go back and listen to George in the Jungle if you want the actual correct pronunciation.
I already got one impossible name right tonight. I'm not going to go 2 for 2.
I was going to go Munster Tiger on that one as well. So well done.
Yeah. So Annette is in after fresh off of being the first American woman to medal in the hammer throw. Jordan Thompson, who is going for her second gold medal, as hard as that is to believe for as young as Jordan Thompson is, going for her second gold medal. Vanessa Giles in soccer, who played for Team Canada, scored a couple goals. She is a legend in women's soccer here. Mardy. Finally, Mardy gets his flowers. Mike Woods. I was born in 1977, so Mike Woods is a little before my time.
Sure.
But one of the greats of UC football. And then Omar Cummings, I already mentioned, and our guy, SK. Sean Kilpatrick, finally getting his recognition as deserved as the second all-time leading scorer in UC basketball history, and a legend, just a flat-out legend in UC basketball. That is a monster class. That's going to be a fun event.
I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. Who is it a bigger relief for? A guy who we've been waiting all this time for, SK or Mardy?
probably Mardy, because Marty's waited longer, I guess, is fair. Marty's UC career ended 5 years earlier than SK. So I would think Mardy. Just look, man, let's be honest. Those teams were great. There was a lot of great players on those teams.
Sure.
They do not reach the lofts, the heights, the unprecedented events in school history if Mardy Gilyard is not on that team. I firmly believe you take that guy off, those teams are still really good, but they're in the hall of really good. Like Marty saved their ass time and time again. He had the big game gene. When the chips were on the table, Mardy Gilyard delivered. And he was, in terms of performance, I mean, it's hard to, it's funny because I think the only guy I could really argue would be Sauce. And Sauce's greatness is that there are no numbers. Like, nobody tested him. Everybody just said, no, we're not going over there, which is the exact opposite of Marty. When they needed something to happen, they dialed up Mardy Gilyard, and he went nuts every time.
Marty is the reason that I fell in love with Bearcats football.
Yeah,
1,000% the reason, the entire reason.
A lot of people fell in, and the story on Marty, like,
well, I was going to bring
team for D'Antonio. He was living in his car.
I was going to ask you, who has the better story as far as I think it's probably Marty. As far as like Hollywood story, Marty's probably the better story than SK. But both of those guys have crazy stories. And then even when I don't know I'll be honest, I don't know the background on a lot of these other people. But even if you included Annette's story and how she was with the Nigerian team, that she thought all the paperwork was filed correctly and it wasn't filed correctly. So she left the Nigerian team after not getting to play in the Tokyo games and now has come back for USA and won a silver medal in a sport they'd never medaled in before in the women's division of the hammer throw. All three of them have crazy stories. And not to discredit anybody else's story.
They're not the best athlete on that list. It's Jordan Thompson.
I can't say without.
They're not the best. None of them are the best athlete on that list. It's Jordan Thompson. If they win, she's gonna have 2 gold medals at 26 years old.
Very young.
She is playing she is a contributor on the Olympic team. She's not one of the wily vets. She's gonna get another. She's probably another Olympics, and if not 2 more Olympics in her time on U.S. volleyball, health permitting and all that good stuff.
She is a star.
So you have legends, greats, and they still might not be as good as Jordan Thompson is. So I don't know how you come up with in my memory of seeing there's usually some people you don't know. You know what I mean? There's usually some people I'm not overly familiar with Mike Ford, but I know the name. I've heard him talked about.
Mike Woods.
Jerome Ford was lingering in my head for some reason.
I wasn't
Mike
sure
Woods.
if you meant former Reds first.
No, I don't know why Ford came out. Mike Woods. I've heard Kerry Hoffman talk about him. I've heard Tim Adams talk. I know the name. I'm familiar with Mike Woods. But
he is in the Ring of Honor already.
Yeah. Everybody else is front of mind. And especially Annette and Giles. You get the 2 current Olympians, female Olympians outside of Jordan Thompson. So yeah, that's gonna be an awesome night. I just don't remember looking at the list. Omar Cummings, I'm not a big men's soccer guy. I'm more than familiar with Omar Cummings and his time at UC and his time with FC Cincinnati. At 6-7 years, I think, in MLS. He won an MLS Cup in 2010, I want to say. So they're selling tickets for this one. $25. gets you general admission or regular seating, $100 a ticket, and you get two drinks included in the cost, and you get a kind of a little meet and greet. I think you get floor seats. So it's going to be a very, very cool Hall of Fame ceremony. And shout out to SK, like just one of the greatest to ever, in a storied basketball history. You're the number 2 all-time scorer. Mm-hmm. You're a first-team All-American. I think he was one. That was a rough year because you had Russ Smith and Shabazz Napier, like all in the same conference, battling for, like, those three were battling for all the awards. Right. And I think you need 3 to be a consensus All-American, and he got 2 first-team All-Americans, and they split the vote, I guess, if you will, between those 3 guys from the same conference. But I mean, SK could score 10 points falling out of bed, and he did that from the day he took the floor here. Just bucket after bucket after bucket. Him and Cash going off against Syracuse in Madison Square Garden, just deeper and deeper and deeper from 3 in that first half to build a big lead and advance in the Big East tournament. What a career. What a legend SK is for UC basketball.
And he's been outspoken about kind of feeling slighted by Cincinnati in general over the course of the last several years. He was quick to put out a tweet today to say, I'm saving all I got when I come to Cincinnati. Can't wait. And I did see some people already kind of poo-pooing him and his name.
Look, don't be an idiot. Like, just don't. I know there's a lot of them out there, and you give them a keyboard and it makes them think that what they say is important. Don't be an idiot. Like, are we all frustrated with some of the things that SK has said? Sure. I understand that. But the guy just wanted some flowers. Right? Like, he's the number 2 all-time leading scorer.
Deservedly so. He really hasn't been recognized. I think they gave him a plaque a couple of years ago when he came back to town. But he deserves all of the praise, and hopefully someday they give him a little bit more recognition than even this. I firmly believe, even if you don't put him on the board with the Big O and Kenyon and all that, I think there's another way that you can elevate SK.
We've talked about this a million. There needs to be
another tier.
Yeah. If your recognition for retiring a number and nobody ever wearing that number again is National Player of the Year, awesome. Great. That can't be it. There's too many other greats. And we could sit here for an hour and name them. There's too many other greats in the history of this basketball program that also deserve their flowers. SK being at or near the top of the list.
Basketball and football got some work to do.
They do, but this is a big deal. This is SK is going to talk for 30 minutes, and he's going to earn it. He's going to deserve it, and he's going to thank everybody. And him and Mardy both. I mean, you could almost argue Mardy's been more forgotten than SK.
Well, he was the 4 years. It was kind of like they passed the torch. Mardy finished in 2009. SK started in 2009. So the pass the baton, I guess, if we're using Olympic terms here. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for both those guys, especially on this list. The 2 guys that I grew up watching. Kind of my in college and end of college, out of college years. But yeah, it should be fun to see them get some recognition.
Get their flowers. I like that. I like that term. The new terminology. Give them their flowers. He deserves his flowers they both do. And guess what? So do Olympic medalists or near Olympic medalists like Giles, that Canada was, if not the favorite, one of the favorites, and they lose in the quarters or in the first round of the medal process, whatever. The knockout rounds. I hate using soccer terminology because I think they force it down our throats. And I think it's the dumbest thing ever when I hear Americans like, oh, they're playing some footy on the pitch. Like, you're American. Stop it. Knock it off. We have our own terminology. Is the only they play soccer here. We talk about it in our own terms. We don't have to use British terms.
They add random U's to words as well, like color. So
right. Why is that extra U in there? But Kelsey is not happy. I guess that is homecoming weekend for her. And they have Thursday night, the women have a match that I'm guessing Jordan will probably be at. And they have the homecoming parade. And then Friday, they have a practice that goes until I think 6:30, and the ceremony starts at 7. And then Saturday, she has homecoming when they're going to do they'll honor them at the UC Houston football game. And she's like, what time's the game? And I was like, I don't know, probably noon, 3:30, something like that.
The thing about college football, nobody knows.
We won't know until 2 weeks before the kickoff. Maybe a week, depending on, whatever. But she was like, well, I have to get ready for homecoming. And I was like, well, then you can't be at the football game. Like, 6 of one, half dozen of another. How much do you want to meet Jordan Thompson? But so she's excited about that, and I think it's just it's going to be a great event to honor 2 guys that defined almost a decade, right? Like,
yeah,
like and Marty didn't really take off until like his 3rd year, but they almost defined a decade of UC athletics from 2005 all the way to 2013 14. So at 13 14 it's basketball lingo, whatever. So yeah, I think it's awesome. I think it's a great class, and kudos to UC for swinging and hitting. Like, they hit a home run with this, like, without question. I don't think there's any way you can argue it. It'll be one of the greatest incoming Hall of Fame classes, if not the greatest in school history.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Mark your calendar, Friday, September 20th, 2024 at Fifth Third Arena.
And then the 21st at Nibbert Stadium. That'll wrap it up. That's the Nightcap, brought to you by Hail Mary Sports Bar right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!